Wait, did Pop Trigger make those true crime videos?
Yeah, Murder
where
with Friends.
I love Murder with
I
Friends, and I
love
forgot
Murder
about
with
that until
Friends.
now. Because that was such an interesting show.
No, it was so good. And Becca, do you know what I think this calls for?
What? A kiss?
Entry number 31.
Oh!
Murder with Friends.
Manic
Pixie.
Jump Scare. Hosted by Quinn Murphy
and Becca Hobart.
Hi.
Hi. We're Quinn. And we're Becca.
And welcome to Manic Pixie Jump Scare, a podcast where we talk openly about our shared delusions,
passions,
and
love
for each other. Yeah. Yeah, of
Sweet.
course. Yeah, of
Sweet.
course.
Loves it. Well, Quinn, we're back.
Yes, we are,
This
Becca.
is episode 7?
Yes, I believe so.
Wow.
Lucky number 7.
Oh my God. That's going in the compilation of me and Quinn being aligned. I love it.
Literally. Yeah.
So this is our first episode back after our 2-parter. So
Yes.
let's hope that was received well. I'm sure it was.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt. And yeah, I guess let's catch up about stuff, Quinn.
Yes.
What have you been up to lately?
What have I been up to lately? Well, the main thing that's exciting, especially with the history of Becca and I's relationship, is that, as I do quite frequently, I went to a drag show this weekend.
Yeah.
It was a special drag show for the end of Pride. It was like kind of pitched as like an end of Pride concert, but nobody actually sang. They were just impersonating. And by impersonating, they just meant doing their own numbers. I don't know. But it was a great show. It's one of the best drag shows I've been to. Ooh. I went with my friend Corey, and something really fun happened while I was there. So there was this performer whose name is Peter Pansy. They are a drag king, and they came out and they did a Freddie Mercury kind of like Queen tribute to Don't Stop Me Now, which is probably my favorite Queen song. And they were giving like full Freddie Mercury illusion, and it was kind of hot, I do fear.
Yeah.
And so I, being me, when the host of the show, Miss Demeanor, who did a very amazing job, she goes, "Oh, wasn't that so hot?" I go, "Yes," like louder than anybody else in the crowd. And she picked me like straight out and she goes, "Oh, wow." And then she goes, she goes, "Oh, this person, or they, they're like, which do you prefer?" And I go, "Bofa," because I'm me.
Yeah.
Because I'm me. And then she wasn't calling me Bofa. She added like an R somewhere. She called me like Borfa or like Buford or like Buford. She called me that the rest of the night, but she was like referring to it the rest of the night. And so about halfway through the show, she's like, "Oh, well, now we need 2 audience participants." And something about me that I feel like we've talked about on this podcast, I am somebody who's going to participate, whether it's asked or not.
Oh, yeah.
I love to involve myself in things.
I love being a participant.
Yes. And so I raised my hand. And wait, was it you that one time said you faked being hypnotized?
Yes, I did. At my prom after party.
Yes. So
yeah,
that's another. Becca was so committed that she faked being hypnotized.
Yeah, and I did a split. I did a split on stage. In front of everyone.
No, mention that in the high school episode, Becca.
I know, I forgot all about prom.
I forgot a whole excursion around London that I did, so
we're gonna have to go back. It's
we're
crazy.
gonna have to into the vault.
Yeah.
So they asked, is there audience, or can we have volunteers from the audience? So of course my hand shoots up and she goes, okay, Bofa, come on up. And so then I'm whisked away. I like go and I'm up. And I was at the Thunderbird Cafe, which is like a legit concert venue here in Pittsburgh.
Whoa. Yeah.
And so yeah, it was like, ooh, like I'm on stage. And so it was me and this lovely woman who went by the name Ohio, who's wearing a beautiful green dress and white Crocs.
Wow.
And I'm going to paint a visual picture for everybody. I, of course, have my relatively new shag haircut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing an A-line tee and my rainbow overalls. I do have rainbow overalls if you have not seen them. That
So
I love to wear because I do get complimented on them. And then I can say, oh, I actually dyed them myself, because that's a true fact.
you did?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I dyed
And I've
those myself.
complimented on you though. Like, wow, I love that.
Yeah, I dyed them myself. And then my mother, shout out to her, she'll probably listen to this episode, washed them.
Mm.
And so the colors did get a little muted in the wash, but they still look pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I was wearing that because it was like an end of Pride thing. So I was like, let me be prideful. And then I was just wearing like white sneakers. So, you know, a little good outfit, I would say.
Yeah.
And so she says it's going to be a lip sync competition. We're doing a lip sync for your life, a la RuPaul's Drag Race at a drag show.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thunk? And so at this point, I'm like, oh, this is what I was born to do.
Yes, yeah.
And because as Becca once so bravely said about me, I always look like I'm about to go and do drag.
Yeah.
My aesthetic is off-duty drag queen.
Always.
And so she goes, do you guys like Britney? And I go, once again, yes. Like I'm way too into this. And she was like, oh yeah. And then so we're like getting ready. She's like, the two queens stand before me, all this stuff. And then what comes through the speakers but Toxic by Britney Spears. And so I literally was like, first of all, I had a little bit of an oh shit moment, because it's like a lot is riding on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my friend Corey, who came with me, was in the crowd. I also knew like a contingent from like my work was there. And because they just decided to go independently from me. So like people I work with were there. And I was like, oh my God, there's like a lot riding on this. Like I can't embarrass myself. Totally. And so I gave it everything I had. And I'm almost immediately, I'm on the floor. I like work my way down to the floor, and there are some nice women in the front. Mm-hmm. And something I'm learning about myself is that queer women really are my demographic.
They love you. They
love me. The feeling is mutual. And yeah. And so I get on the ground and I start doing some sapphic things with them. Ooh. Yeah, not fully like kissing or anything, but definitely looking like I'm like leading down that road just to, do some crowd work. And then there was a speaker. And so I got up and kind of like wrote it, like kind of grinded against it.
Loves it.
And then my favorite part of the performance of my performance, because I do have videos of this performance from two angles, is in the after the pre-chorus. So too high can't go down. There's like that little electronic breakdown, like something came over me and I did like a full like half Vogue femme emoting, half like robot that just got poured like water on its head. And so I was like, and like you can hear the audience in the crowd start to like go fucking ape shit.
Oh my God, I wish I would have seen this.
Exactly at that moment. I will send you the video. I wanted to keep it a surprise for the podcast, but Becca will be receiving the video shortly after we're done this. And so after that, we only did up to like the end of the first quarter, so there wasn't that much longer of the performance and stuff. And so then, and this was the most nerve-wracking part. It was like an applause, like who got the most applause, basically.
Oh.
And so Miss Ohio, my competitor, who I wasn't paying attention to during the lip sync, but upon my review of the footage, she was giving.
Oh, okay.
She was doing splits, she was doing tricks, she was doing a lot. And
oh my God.
I didn't know to what degree I should be worried.
Yeah.
I should also mention that I did get tipped during the performance.
By one of the lesbians?
Yes.
Nice.
By like multiple people. I made
Whoa.
like I made somewhere between $5 and $10 off of that performance.
Well, for something that should have given you $0,
Yes.
that's honestly insane.
Yeah, and so I was actually surprised because I had like a certain amount of money. I was like running low on dollars because if you know drag shows, it's customary to tip the performers and like hold out $1 bills for, or you know, any denomination.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so I was nervous before I went up there. I'm like, oh, it's like the show's only halfway over, and I'm like kind of running low on my bills. But then once I got up there, I was like replenished.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so then it comes, they're like, okay, if you want Ohio to win, applaud. And it's like uproarious. And I'm like, oh, I'm scared.
No.
So now I'm scared. And I, of course, was clapping for Ohio because I'm like, that's my competitor.
Camaraderie.
Yeah. And so then they're like, okay, and now who wants Quinn to win? Equally uproarious.
Wow.
No, like I did not hear a difference in the room. Like I did not hear a marked difference in the room.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was declared that we both won. And so
Much
yeah.
like wow. How
And
beautiful.
my prize, you might ask? An inflatable pool ring. So like one of those little tubes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was my prize.
Okay.
Plus,
that would piss me off.
Tips. What?
That would piss me off. To
really?
Be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I liked it because it gave me something to fan myself with the rest of the night. Because it was like, it's packed rectangularly. And so I just went like.
That is nice. Okay.
And so that was nice. But it was just weird because I just had it the whole night after that.
Just holding it.
It's like near midnight at this point. I was just like, I went till like 2. And so
yeah,
I just had it. And so yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bitter about inflatables because I bought like a little inflatable like ottoman thing for my room, and I wasn't even thinking when I bought it, but I had to blow it up by mouth obviously, and it took forever, and I almost passed out like 8 times. So I'm probably just speaking from a place of hate. I'm happy for you.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm glad you got something.
And yeah, so that was that's kind of my big event. But Becca, something interesting in your life that's been going on is that, as we talked about a couple episodes ago, you are now a working woman once again.
Yes, I am.
So my first question is not actually about your job. We will get to that, but we did talk about on the last episode how you had a birthday recently. Did you get your birthday drink from your previous employer?
I did, but I did not go to from the establishment that I resigned from.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the next one over.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Because I can't show my face there. Yeah, can't show my face there again.
But how's your new job?
I love it.
Really?
Mostly because everyone is so kind.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just not a mean person there.
Yeah.
Also, like part of the job is to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I get to do my hair and makeup. I get to dress cute. I get to wear lavender because it's in the color palette.
Yeah.
Famously one of my favorite colors. My favorite color, actually. So it just feels so much better. And like my favorite part about Starbucks was the free coffee, but second to that was like the customer interaction, because I do love talking to people and stuff. And
Mhm.
that's all this job is.
Yeah.
It's just doing that. It's like it's literally so fun. And the manager here is so nice. Like, oh my God. And I was also talking, one of my coworkers now also used to work at the Starbucks I resigned from.
Mhm.
And without me even saying anything, she was like, that manager sucked. And I was like, okay, confirmation.
It's
It's not just
synchronicity.
me.
It's synchronicity.
I needed it and it was there.
Yeah. It's
That I don't
serendipity.
exactly. So
Like
that made me
it
feel really good.
that's really cool. It's like a sign in your life that you like did the right thing.
Exactly.
You
Oh
immediately
my
found
God.
someone to commiserate with. That's beautiful.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
and
much.
I can see how people at like the place you work now would be nicer, because I feel like with Starbucks, it's like when you walk in,
Mm-hmm.
you like walking in, you've decided to buy something and you
Yes.
probably know what you're gonna buy.
Yeah.
And so the baristas are kind of just like, okay, what do you want?
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like, it's not like you have to sell somebody on something. Whereas your job
Yeah.
now, it's very much like, especially because I know like when I shop for makeup, it's like sometimes I'll go in to like, sometimes I'll go in, look around, see if anything catches my eye and stuff. But then I've gone into places like that, not bought anything, and then just kind of
Yeah.
like left. And then, but like, and also people come to you being like, okay, well, I'm looking for something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah. I love it.
wait, so can I ask what the training process is like? Like, because you obviously have to like kind of know like when selling makeup and like cosmetics and stuff, like the effects things have.
Yes.
And so is there any part of that that's like kind of institutionalized like into the training process, or is it just kind of your knowledge you're working off of based on your own experience?
So part of it is training.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more so like your working knowledge, but
Mm-hmm.
brands like have you are like constantly always being trained every week
Really?
because like about new products and stuff like that.
Oh.
But it's kind of like you have to find the time. Things are a lot less like not I don't like not structured is the right
Mm-hmm.
word, but like it's more flowy here about like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have like a station that you're working at your whole shift and that's what you're doing and then you clock out at this exact time. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, you work, you go do this other task, you come back to the register, blah 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 blah. So in that time you also like can do your training that's like about this brand coming out with this product or um this brand doing this campaign or something. So stuff like that.
So then does the brand like pay your company to be like, oh, this is going in all of your stores to like explain? Or is it just like a
Um
thing?
so there is a kind where they do that. They do like a takeover or something.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
then there's also just like they make these like basically they're like commercials, education
Yeah.
videos. Um
Oh.
I don't think they pay us for, but they just send to us. Um so that we can
That's
sell
interesting.
their stuff. Yeah.
Do you get free products
Here and there. Yeah, yeah,
here
yeah.
and there? Okay.
And it's a good discount.
Mm-hmm.
And also the honestly, okay, I'm gonna say Ulta's
Mm-hmm.
point system finally. The loyalty program is
Mm-hmm.
like really good.
Mm-hmm.
So even just like racking up points faster, that's gonna serve me long term,
Mm-hmm.
which I love.
Yeah.
Cause Starbucks, like even if I was on my day off and I came in and stuff, like what you get like 8 points from a coffee and you need 150 points to get a free coffee. So it's like, oh my God.
Starbucks does not have a great loyalty program.
No, they don't want you to
And
succeed.
that's the worst thing I can say about that corporation.
Mm.
It's worse than the union busting. And so, wait, I had one
Yeah.
more question. I'm like fascinated by this now that I've like let my mind run wild on
Yeah.
what my friend Becca is doing all day.
Mhm.
What was I about to? Oh, I know. I told the story about the Ulta worker that I harassed on a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
So people started doing makeovers because of COVID, or is it in like, because you live in a little bit of like a more,
We do have people who will do that.
okay, cool. Would
We
you
have,
ever
yeah,
like, do you like doing other people's makeup?
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I have toyed with the idea before of, especially because like at Pitt's theater department and stuff, like there's no
Hmm.
separate makeup department.
Yeah.
Um I like the fact that like when I was doing costume stuff, I also used to like be able to think about makeup and like do a face
Hmm.
chart or whatever.
Yeah.
Um it's something that I find interesting. I don't know if I'm like would be into it enough to be like a full-on makeup artist.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I would it's something I would think about though,
Hmm.
like becoming one of those like specialized people in a brand
Hmm.
so that I would be able to do that. But more so like I don't know. I'm like also trying to decide if I am like a manager person.
So manager person, like you are debating if you want to move up, or you are debating whether you're somebody who likes to work under somebody else.
That is what I'm debating. I mean, I have cuz
Hmm.
obviously I have been in leadership positions before.
Hmm.
Um but also like something that I don't know, something I get in my head about is like, okay, if I do like whatever move up in this company,
Hmm.
is that me like saying that is that like giving in to that maybe at my like artistic pursuits won't work out,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
It's a weird little line to toe, but also like no, because you can be successful like you can work
Hmm.
hard in all aspects of your life and like be
Hmm.
successful in multiple areas. So, I don't know, I just get weird about that. I'm like, how much should I commit to this part-time job?
Yeah.
I have to
And
ask
like,
myself all the time.
also if you want to just leave, you can. Like if you want to
So true.
chase the bag for a couple of years if you want to chase the corporate bag for a couple of years and then say, you know what, I'm cool with it. Obviously it
Yeah.
becomes more complicated because like if you like start to move up and you make a certain amount of money, then you're like, ooh.
Mhm.
Um, not that I have experienced that personally, but it's something I hear people go through.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that is interesting stuff. I
Something about
yeah.
me. Oh, go
Mhm.
ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just I think our generation is just actively kind of reframing like our
Mhm.
whole relationship to work and labor and stuff,
Yeah.
which is it's very interesting to see it happen live. And I think
Yeah.
in a way you're talking to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I was also gonna say, the first like few months of a job, especially, I am so like I just become so gung ho.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I was a waitress, I became a trainer within a month of working there,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like I have the biggest ambitions
Mm-hmm.
for like literally like and for
This
what?
and this is another place where Becca and I are alike because I am the
Mhm.
same way where when I start something, I'm like, oh,
This is it.
this is it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I love everything about it. I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And this is who I'm going to be. Like,
Mm.
literally anything could happen. And I would be like, yeah, this is the new direction my life is going in.
It's scary.
Yeah. And it's something Becca and I have identified in other people and been like, that's so crazy that they're doing that.
But some people are worse. We do
Yeah,
it, but we're not that
Becca and
bad.
I are way more realistic about literally every single thing than some people. And so,
Uh,
oh my goodness. But yeah, I very much feel that as well. I'm very much, I have to, it's something I've been really working on in my mindfulness practice lately, the idea of like non-attachment.
Yeah.
and really trying, like, because much like you, I get somewhere and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be this, I'm gonna do this, and it's like,
Yeah.
no. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I literally just had an experience like last week where I have been considering this thing in my life for a really long time, and I like imagined the whole thing, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be this way, this way, this way, and then I involved somebody else in it, and they were like, actually, I'm not even sure if you should do that like that, and it just like
What was it?
it was like traveling and stuff, and so I had this
Okay.
idea of like this like travel plan I was gonna do, and then
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to somebody about it, and they were like, oh, I actually don't think this is gonna be a great fit for you. But it's because, and it was
Oh.
like, and it felt like earth shattering in that moment to be like, oh, my whole plan up in smoke. And I was like
Yeah.
literally like, I was in like a depressed state for like a day and a half, and then I was like, and I had to like realize and be like, okay, well, I put myself in this position in a way because I've spent a month being like, okay, well, this is how I think about this thing, this is what I'm going to do, this, and never involved anybody else in that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we talked about in the astrology episode, like I let my imagination run wild a little bit, and sometimes it can come back to
Mm-hmm.
bite.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. But and then it's like, yeah. And so I'm trying, that's something else I'm working on in my life.
That's how you you know what?
Mhm.
Because I've been like trying to get back to I used to be a master manifester. I would just call
Mhm.
myself a regular manifester right now. And it's because I have kind of lost the ability to detach from things and let go of
Mm.
expectations, which is a
Mm.
huge part of manifesting. Because when you overthink things and you're like, I want this and I'm gonna do this and this and this and this and this to get
Mhm.
it. It's like, okay, that's when you start freaking out then and thinking, overthinking, getting anxious and not
Mhm.
believing that like what's meant to be will be or whatever.
Mhm. And then if you get something, it doesn't look how you want it to look, then it's like, well,
Yeah, exactly.
mhm.
So you freak out either way. Like,
Yeah.
okay, a great example last summer when I went to New York with Macy, I said, I'm going to be on the Wendy Williams show and I'm going to be featured. And I just believed it and I didn't overthink it at all. And look what I did. I was on it. And yes, she bullied me.
You look so young.
You look 14 or 7.
Which we have
Okay.
to say. We have, and I meant to bring this up, but
Hmm. Rest in
R.I.P. the Wendy
peace.
show. R.I.P. the Wendy Williams show.
You did so much negatively.
Yes. But we do not Wendy Williams is a complicated figure,
Hmm. Hmm.
but we do not stand by what is happening to her in
Yeah.
like the
It's wrong.
the people keeping her money from her, and also the abject abuse of Wendy Williams I found really upsetting towards the end of her show, because basically if you are not somebody who was following the Wendy Williams show, the whole
Hmm.
last season of the Wendy Williams show did not feature Wendy Williams amidst some pretty serious health conditions Wendy was
Facing.
facing, yes. And
Yeah.
so, and then they just canceled it. And
So
Wendy has
sad.
been, Wendy has been, luckily she's recuperated a little bit,
Hmm.
and she has been well enough to do the show. Like she
Yeah.
was definitely well enough to come in and shoot a final episode, but they did not do that. And it's like, it's,
It's sad.
yes, it is really sad because, say what you want about Wendy Williams and her legacy, which is, obviously still being written because she's still very much alive. She's gonna come back and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it is somebody who has worked so extremely hard to get where they are, and
Hmm.
somebody who genuinely carved out a specific like niche for themselves,
Hmm.
and like was able to have their creativity flourish and be appreciated and all this stuff. And in that way she
Yeah.
is a very inspiring figure to me. And
Hmm.
so for like the people who were supposed to be supporting her to like abandon her in that way it was sad to watch. It was really sad to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah. So, Wendy, our hearts go out to you.
We stand with you, Wendy.
We stand with
um
you
I
on
cannot
this.
wait for you to enter the podcasting space with us. I cannot
Welcome
wait
back,
for you to promote the Wendy Williams podcast on
MPJ.
MPJ. Wendy Williams is somebody we would have on this podcast.
That would rock.
Could you imagine?
Let's manifest and let go. And so it is.
So it is written, so it shall be done.
Ah,
Okay, well,
right.
Becca, I feel we are adequately caught up. If
I'm
I
caught
learn
up.
literally anything more about your life, I will explode.
Yeah, me too. Oh,
Well, that does not bode well for me then, because we are quite literally talking about
our
our
lives.
lives in the next segment. That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing about the podcast. Maybe whenever people are like, "Oh, what's your podcast about?" I go, "Oh, me and Becca."
Us.
Yeah, that's what
Simply.
it's about. And so Becca and I are going to throw it to a little break, and we'll be back to get into our topic for today's episode.
Yes.
Guys, I'm scared.
And now, Becca and I have returned.
Yes.
Fun fact about something that just happened off screen: there's a large bug in my apartment, and Becca just saw me for about 3 to 5 minutes try to get it out.
Yeah.
So about me is I don't like killing bugs, and so I did like a catch and release method, and it wasn't working for a good second.
What was it? What kind of bug?
I could not identify what kind of bug it was, honestly.
Ugh, okay.
It was something
Okay.
that buzzed loudly, and that's like, oh, and it was like
Scary.
big. It was like, I described to Becca like yay big.
Ew. Okay.
Like
We have
yellow. I don't know.
We
So
have to
Becca
move
doesn't like
on.
bugs. Okay.
I don't.
So today we are doing a fun little episode to me because we've been calling this episode the formative media episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically what Becca and I are going to do is we are going to look back and dive into some of the pieces of media that made us the people who we are today. And so we are going to kind of do it by type of media. And so, Becca, I will put it to you as my lovely co-host. Is there a type of media you would like to discuss first?
Let's go with TV shows.
Okay.
I feel like that's a good starting point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get on my notes.
Sure. So I can start.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Blue's Clues.
Yeah, to take it all the way back.
I feel like I remember watching that a lot. Teletubbies, obviously.
Yeah.
That
Made you
base
gay?
for sure. That baseline stuff definitely informed a lot about like our generations. I think like a lot of shit was really weird. You know,
For
like
us?
the Wiggles were weird. Like SpongeBob was weird. I'll say it again. SpongeBob, I can tell when someone has watched SpongeBob as a child because their sense of humor is usually like similar to mine, you know?
Yeah. People who
yeah,
watch
so
SpongeBob like as adults too are like a special breed.
honestly, it's hilarious
Like people who watch SpongeBob on Netflix, like that's wild to me.
SpongeBob is so good.
Mhm.
You watched it as a child, right?
Yes. I mean, I
Okay,
feel like
good.
SpongeBob was pretty like ubiquitous.
Some people, no, I know some people who either didn't have cable, didn't want to watch it, or their parents thought it was annoying.
My mom did say my mom did make me turn it off at certain points.
Oh,
But
my mom actively loved SpongeBob.
she
Like
was like,
wanted to watch it
she was
with
like, can
me.
we watch this? Yeah.
Yeah, I love SpongeBob.
Mhm.
Yeah, so stuff like that is like pretty much everyone watched.
Mhm.
Something as a child that I stand by, I was a Nickelodeon girl
Mhm.
over Disney, except for Wizards
I-
of Waverly Place was like my fave. I loved that too. But that's
Oh.
like Nick energy on Disney, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Selena Gomez, very, very Nick energy.
Well, you know what? Selena Gomez, before I had Ariana Grande, who I obsessed with now, I was obsessed with Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
And my
She
phone's
she
my
Alex Russo,
yeah.
career defining performance. Like
So good.
That character, she was, and that's why I was like a little disappointed. She was so focused on music for a while.
Because she's
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 truly a
so
talented
funny.
actress. And
Selena is so
apparently,
funny.
that show on Hulu she's in with Martin Short and
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, Only Murders in the Building, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
She's giving amazing performance on that, so maybe I need to revisit.
You haven't watched it?
I have not.
Oh, I have. The next season just came out, so it's very good. She's great.
Yeah.
She's so funny.
Yeah, she's
She
so
gets
funny.
comedy. Hotel Transylvania, just hilarious stuff. But yeah, I love Selena Gomez. I also Alex, like, being an artist, I was like, that made me want to paint really bad. I was and I think every like little girl especially is like this. Like, I was such a wannabe. Like, you just look at older cool girls and you're like, oh my God, I want to do that. And there is a sense
I'm going to talk about that as well.
Okay, good.
And when
There's
we get
a
to
sense
mine.
of there's like a sense of shame around that because people are like, you're a wannabe. But what's so wrong with seeing something I'm like interested in or cool and then doing it?
It's representation.
Yeah.
Representation.
Yeah.
It's showing you, you can be the cool girl,
Yeah.
And so Alex Russo was also very queer coded.
Oh yeah. Her and Harper, I honestly thought were gonna date.
Alex Russo would be bi now.
Yep.
If they had like
if they did Wizards Now.
If they did
Oh my
Wizards of Waverly Place now. I mean, not quite, but like, kinda. I mean, like if they did like a grown-up version of it. What show did they do a grown-up version of? Didn't they like
iCarly?
Oh yeah, like iCarly, like perfect example. Like if Wizards got the iCarly treatment, Alex is like dating a woman and living in Bushwick.
So true. Oh my God. Literally. Literally. No painting.
And she's still trying to conceal her abilities as a wizard.
Yeah. Wait, that's kind of good. Guys, don't steal that.
Not
don't steal
writing
that.
a pilot. R.I.P. R.I.P. If it was said on this podcast, it's our IP.
Yep. Other TV I watched in childhood, I, being a Nick fan, loved Nick at Night, The Nanny, and George Lopez. Truly waking up at 3 a.m. to All My Friends, No the Lowrider.
And this is why I love my friend Becca, because she reminds me of things. Because I wrote down obviously like a rough outline, but the George Lopez show. I wouldn't even wake up at 4 a.m. I knew it came on at like 8 p.m. and I would watch it. Like I was fully up watching. I was up with what George and Angie and Carmen and Max were all up to.
Do you remember when they replaced Angie? Oh wait, no, Carmen, the daughter, Carmen. They replaced her.
I do
like halfway through the show.
Vaguely. Was it halfway through?
It was a fully new actress. Like, I feel like half the episodes I watched were with one actress and half were with another.
I feel like something like that could have happened. Yeah.
The drama.
Also, I think I've been reflecting on the George Lopez show a lot recently, actually. And I think part of like one of the running things of George Lopez show is that he dates a woman, or he's married to a woman who's like much more attractive than him.
Yeah.
Like in a societal like beauty standards way. And that causes an anxiety in him that she's like always cheating on him.
Yeah.
And I think it was also in like the character's backstory that like his mother, who's another big character on the show, was also cheated on.
Yeah.
Like their dad, like his dad left basically. And so, yeah. And so I think that gave me a lot of relationship anxiety.
Oh, interesting. I would believe it.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch The Nanny?
Yeah. I didn't love it as much as the George Lopez show, but I feel like if I rewatched The Nanny now, I would be obsessed.
Oh yeah. I think I get also a lot of like fashion stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. I loved her.
Fran Fine is like a style icon.
I literally loved her. And then also Mr. Sheffield, I had such a crush on him.
Really?
And I think that sort of began, like, I'll get into this later, but because it ties into like Tumblr stuff about and
Mhm.
Lana Del Rey stuff about like older men. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That
yeah.
another character. There's a character on The Nanny. Giles, was that the name of the
Yes, the
butler?
butler.
He
Yeah.
was also queer coded,
Yeah.
but then they made him hook up with Cece, who
Cece.
was
Yeah.
the what
And
relation?
Cece was the assistant to Mr. Sheffield, but
And they had
wanted
a
to
thing at one
be
point, right?
well, they did, but it was like more so it was like kind of one-sided on her part.
And then of course,
Yeah.
Fran and Mr. Sheffield,
Yes.
shack up. Um,
Crazy. Yeah. Um, and also I just remembered My Wife and Kids. I used to watch all the time with one of the
really,
Wayans
yeah,
brothers.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
I thought
Damon.
that show was so funny. Um,
Hmm.
and finally I started my reality show thing in elementary school with the Bad Girls Club, which I would watch in 5th grade all the time.
Yeah,
Yep. And also the Kardashians.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Where I did, and I've talked to you about this
I
before,
find
and you
this so
found it
interesting.
interesting.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, I found it so interesting the way that especially Courtney talked.
Hmm.
And so I trained myself to sort of have an accent, and I kind of had this like sort of accent thing in elementary and middle school where saying words like great, like, okay, great. She says it like great or grape, crate. Like it's such a weird R thing. And I
Hmm.
just did that consciously and then subconsciously for a while. And sometimes I catch myself falling into it.
I still think your vocal patterns are very like when you
Kardashian.
said that to me, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think that's why I was so intrigued by it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm thinking about things now that, you said, well, okay, so I'll get into mine. And
yeah.
so I'm gonna go, these were not shows that were super influential, but they're more of like a framework. I
Okay.
wouldn't exactly call them formative. I am very familiar with both of them. But Friends and Sex and the City are the first two shows I will start with
Yeah.
because I do not remember watching a lot of kids' media growing up.
Oh, okay.
Or I do remember watching it, but I don't remember like it's scratching an itch in my brain, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
Like I watched like also the Dan Schneider verse, not to bring that name up, but like the
Mhm.
Dan Schneider verse. Like
Oop.
I remember watching all those shows and like, but I don't remember ever like sitting down being like, there's a new episode of Big Time Rush on.
You didn't
There's
feel that about Victorious even?
no.
Oh
I could
my
not tell you what
God.
nights Victorious came on.
Oh my God. I loved Victorious.
I
I
do
watched
love
that
Victor.
recently.
I do love Victorious, and I wish I got like a proper kind of like because it just kind of ended.
Yeah.
But um, and it's very art imitating life for us, I feel, as
Hmm.
theater
Hmm.
kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wasn't like I don't I don't find any of that stuff super seminal to like who I am,
Okay.
or like I don't think about it and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so, but like Friends, Sex and the City, these shows that my mom in particular, but just my parents more broadly kind of liked. My
Hmm.
parents exposed me to a lot of culture in a way that as I meet people and talk to them about their upbringings and stuff, I realize that some people's parents don't expose them to things.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true.
And so like Friends was the first show that like it was like, oh, I like this because like my parents would watch it with me. And like you said, I felt the wannabe thing and like wanting to be an adult.
Yeah, I had that too. Like
Be-
being grown up just seemed like the coolest thing
yeah.
ever.
And now that I'm grown up, I'm like, fuck.
God, yeah.
And so
How
and
old were
I
you when you watched Friends?
oh, I was way too young to be watching Friends, honestly. It used to come on TBS from 4 to 6. So there'd be 4 episodes straight through. And I
Yeah.
watched that. Like I had seen Friends like probably at least twice through all the way.
Hmm.
through that. Like
Just from
before
that.
Friends was when everybody was like, oh, Friends is finally on streaming. It's like, girl, I'm already off book. I'm
Yeah,
already moved on to
so
other things.
I did that too because in 7th grade, my mom had the box DVD set of
Yes, she
Friends.
did.
So I
Yes, she
watched
did.
it all the way through before like streaming was even a thing.
Yeah, I was watching Friends like 10 to 12 probably, like somewhere in
Yeah.
that window I started. Oh, and also like I went through an era where I was watching all the CBS sitcoms. So like I believe it was
Give me examples.
like Mondays at 8, like How I Met Your Mother. I went through a huge like
I've
I've
never
seen
seen
every
that.
I don't know how much it holds up on a rewatch. I've heard people say it really doesn't hold up on a rewatch.
Okay.
I've kind of wanted to rewatch it a little bit, but I don't know. It gets kind of bad near the end. I'm not gonna lie. There's one season where the whole season takes place at a wedding.
Oh my God.
22 episodes at a wedding. A whole season.
Oh my
I believe it's
God.
season 8. I
That
hated
sounds
that. I
terrible.
hated
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I remember, and like 2.5 Men. Like I remember I came in on 2.5 Men, like when Ashton Kutcher replaced Charlie Sheen.
Oh, I have never seen that either.
Yeah, it was like what was on like TBS and FX like at like 5 when I got home from school, like those adult shows, like those more adult sitcoms. Like I started watching them and I really took an interest in them. And it was also stuff my parents watched. I didn't watch Sex and the City till I was like a senior in high school, so it's not formative. Well, it kind of
Yeah.
is because we talk about formative like we're not in like a very impressionable time in our lives.
Yeah,
But
like currently.
yeah, and like now Sex and the City is very formative, but it like I wasn't watching Sex and the City like back then.
Yeah.
But something I do to talk about reality shows, and it's something I know Becca also really enjoys,
hmm
Jersey Shore.
Yes. Oh my God.
Jersey Shore, in the wannabe way, I used to think they were the coolest people in the world.
They were.
Yeah, but it was like,
They
it was
were for
interesting
a
because
period of
like
time.
my parents were like my parents enjoyed the show, or not my parents because my mom never watched it, but like my dad, me and my brother and my dad used to all get together and watch it. It was like our quality time together for the week. We would literally watch
hmm
Jersey Shore. How fucked
Wow.
up. But and so we would get together, watch Jersey Shore, and like my dad must have been watching being like, oh my God, these people are the trashiest human beings ever. But I was like, oh my God, they're so cool.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking about also the other day the hookup culture that was like in that show.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely gave me problems. Seeing
Yeah.
that like every night they would hook up with someone new, which I'm not saying you can't do or is like
Mm-hmm.
inherently bad,
Yes.
but to like see that when you're so young and be like,
Mm-hmm.
that's how like
Oh, and
dating is.
the way they would talk about women,
Oh yeah,
like they
not
would call
great.
people grenades, and
Yeah.
they had a grenade whistle. So when they saw a woman they thought wasn't attractive, they would like blow the whistle and like embarrass these women, and so, there's so much toxicity in it.
Yeah.
No, but something I think about so regularly is the fact that Snooki met her husband. Like there's documented proof of her meeting her husband
Yeah.
and walking home. She's so drunk she can't remember his name.
And she's had children with
And then
him.
she has sex with him first night they meet. No judgment there.
Yeah.
But like her little kids can see like, or not little now because like her oldest one must be quite old by now, but like her kids fully can like one day watch their parents meet on television and see their mom being like a drunk
Scary.
sloppy mess.
Oh my God. You're right. That's
Literally.
crazy.
Yeah. But no, when they actually went to like, do you remember when they actually went to Italy?
Yeah, I do. That's the best season ever.
Like that was revolutionary. We were like, oh my God, they're actually going to Italy.
They're doing it.
Yeah. Or when Snooki got pregnant and then the last season she lived in like a house down the road.
Do you remember the spin-off show of just Snooki and JWoww?
Yes. Yes, Snooki
I
and
love it.
JWoww.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and their theme song was Icona Pop.
That's crazy. We should
Yeah.
rewatch that show. Okay, wait. Much like
Seriously.
last episode where we talked about Trixie and
Who's
Katya,
who?
who's the Snooki and who's the JWoww. I feel like it tracks very well and like it's the same archetype ultimately.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, 3, 2, 1.
JWoww?
Snooki.
I feel like
Yes.
it's very much, yeah, I feel like it's very much.
It's also literally falling into who's taller and who's shorter. Is this a bit like,
Yes,
is that a thing?
literally.
That needs to be studied. Oh my God.
Literally, yeah.
Wow.
Tall people are stern. Not stern. JWoww was very fun, but
Yeah.
oh, and just fully people fighting on the show. Full on fist
That's
fights.
another thing. Like I thought it was normal to like it whenever there's a conflict, you punch someone.
Literally. Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
no, in the real like you cannot do that.
Oh, and Ronnie and Sam, like
That was terrible.
the season 3 episode where Ronnie is fully like destroying everything Sam owns.
It's
And
bad.
like Sam has to physically, like, I cannot believe they put that on the air.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot believe they were just like putting this
No.
like super abusive relationship on the air. And I was at home as a 10-year-old or whatever, eating it up,
Yep.
eating it
Yep.
up.
Yeah. That
Wow.
reminds me of okay, so just
It's getting dark.
the general violence on reality TV was crazy. I
Mm.
remember me and my friends like kind of recently rewatched actually the top 10 Bad Girls Club fights on YouTube, like a compilation video.
Yeah.
My one friend, Simon, knew every single clip and why they were fighting and was explaining it to us again. And one time, I cannot believe the producers let her do this. One time a girl put like acid or something in a girl's contact lens case. So if she not acid, like bleach. So if she would have put those contacts in her eye, she would have literally gone blind. And so like they let her take that action and then like they told her like, oh yeah, like don't put in your contacts, there's bleach. Like, oh my God.
That's horrifying. That's horrifying.
Literally. Like that
No,
would have been
reality television used to be the wild fucking west. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
It just
Yeah.
it's crazy because now you can't do that because you're gonna get sued, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But yeah.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
Jersey Shore was really big for me.
Yeah.
Another show I should have in no way been watching. Degrassi: The Next Generation.
Oh, this is something I also missed out on because I didn't have Teen Nick on
Mhm.
my cable.
I was up on what was going on at Degrassi High, for better or for worse.
Wow.
It was like, it's like a soap opera. It's just a soap opera, but
children.
for teenagers.
Yeah.
Like literally there would be, for their summer seasons, like when you didn't have school,
Mm-hmm.
there would be an episode every day of the week.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so much.
And calling back to when I watched Divergent with my grandmother, one summer, I believe it was Degrassi: The Boiling Point, which most iconic television promo ever, I'm gonna say. Degrassi: The Boiling Point.
Shark in the water.
Shark in the water. See, Becca, who doesn't even know. Becca, who doesn't even know from Degrassi,
I saw that.
Yes. And they're at the carnival, and is it like Fifi Dobson who sings that song, I want to say?
I have no idea. But it goes, baby, there's a shark in the water.
And they did like a whole music video where it was like carnival themed, and it like, I think it like gave Easter eggs of things that were going to happen in the season.
Honestly, marketing.
And I think that
good.
season ends with a stabbing at the prom.
Okay.
That's the kind of stuff they were doing. Oh my God. They show somebody, like one of the main characters of like the show, and they start like when I rewatched Degrassi: The Next Generation now, those kids were like young when they started. Like they were like 14.
Oh.
And like, yeah. And the first episode is one of the main characters of like the first, like, because obviously Degrassi: The Next Generation went on for a really long time. So like people would cycle in and out, kind
Oh
of
yeah.
like there would be like new people came in and stuff, because that's, you know, the thing of doing a high school show. The
Yeah.
first episode is like Emma, a 14-year-old, getting catfished by like a middle-aged man.
Oh no.
Yes, literally, that's like the first episode of
Oh
Degrassi: The Next
God.
Generation. And yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, the stuff they would do on that show. But
Did
it
you ever
was
did you watch Skins, which I've heard is kind of like the British version of this?
I never watched the UK Skins. I watched the American Skins,
Oh, okay.
which it just felt very much like, it felt like a grittier Degrassi.
Okay, gotcha.
Like slightly more, like slightly grittier. But
Mhm.
yeah, Degrassi was, yeah, and it was like, it exposed me to so many things. And no, when you think about the things they did on the show, like one of the main characters gets like stabbed and dies.
Ooh.
There's the school shooting episode.
I saw that one somehow.
Yeah, that's a scary episode. Like, it's scary shit for kids to watch.
Yeah,
Like,
that is
especially like I was
definitely
like I was
traumatizing.
scared watching that.
Oh my
Like, who was
God.
scared? No, the school shooting episode was terrifying, and that's how Wheelchair Jimmy happened to Drake's character. Like, he got shot and then he was paralyzed. And so, yeah, like he wasn't always in a wheelchair.
Why
They
do
literally
shows
show
about
him,
high school? Oh my
yeah, they show him
God.
getting shot.
That's so scary.
Yeah, and that, yeah,
That's not
they
good.
fully did like scary, but I think it's good. Like, I think part of the reason is because they were willing to like go there. Like, they
I
were willing to
guess.
like they were like, the fact that they had like catfishing on as like a thing in like the early 2000s or whatever, like.
Yeah.
And it was, in some ways, it was a very progressive show. Like the first like Degrassi was the first way I like understood what like transness was, like transgender people,
Oh, cool.
because there was a transgender character named Adam who was like, just, you know, like a transgender character on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the whole, like, it was like, that was the first way I became aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sexual abuse probably was like, that's how I realized what, there's a lot of different people were sexually abused in a lot of different ways on that show.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I
Wow.
that's a show I really toy with doing a rewatch of, but I truly feel like I would be horrified at what I was watching when I was a child.
Yeah. I feel like, okay, all those like opera hello soap opera-y
Mm-hmm.
shows like that, where it's just like trauma after trauma, like Grey's Anatomy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That
Trump,
show can be
like,
watched, like it's just so horrifying.
yeah.
But you need it for the drama, because also usually they don't have the best writers on shows like those. So it's like they go for crazy instead of like interesting. And it leads to that's problematic, I would say.
Yeah, they're trying to do the most shocking thing to like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's like
Especially
it's
for a kids show.
mm-hmm. And then one other thing I want to talk about as far as television goes. I mean, we talked about Survivor a little bit last week. I found Survivor a little bit, I was in like the 6th grade by the time Survivor came on, but all of this is like
Okay.
kind of pre like 4th, 5th, 6th grade. That's when I'm really becoming like getting into these things, which
Yeah.
but anyway, and I of course have to mention Glee.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
people who grew up in the time we did. I remember my mom's clients were the people who originally urged me to watch Glee.
Oh.
Yeah, her very close clients, they were like, Quinn, you should watch this show. And I was like, word. And so then I started watching it. And I remember just specifically, I used to go to work with my mom a lot when I was younger. And have I talked about what my mom does for a living on the podcast?
I don't think so.
So my mom teaches kids how to ride horses, is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in a literal barn. So if I ever leave doors open, it's not my fault. It's how I was raised. And so basically, I grew up going to horse shows with my mother
Mhm.
because you work with the horses and you train them, and so they can jump and do things like that. And so I would go to horse shows with my mom because it was like something to do on the weekends. And I liked the people she like worked with. It was fun to walk around, see the horses, see the dogs, because
Ooh.
dog culture goes right along with horse show culture.
Mhm.
And so, yeah. But I would also bring like, I was like the first generation of iPad kids because I remember I got the first ever iPad.
Really?
Yeah, I had like generation 1 iPad.
I had the mini when that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of kids got the mini, but I was like,
Uh,
but yeah. So I got the first generation iPad, and so I would like take that to the horse shows and stuff. And
mhm.
I had 3 episodes of Glee randomly like downloaded onto that iPad. It was the pilot episode, it was the finale of season 1, and it
Mhm.
was like the mid-season episode called Bad Reputation, which is the episode where they do Run Joey Run.
Oh, yeah.
Iconic
Run,
episode.
Joey, run. So good.
But for like, I'm off book on like those 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Like I know everything about those 3 episodes.
No, once something was downloaded into my Apple, like the iCarly episode of iPsycho, I have that down pat.
Literally, yeah.
Every 4th word.
Every
Trust.
4th word. Yeah, and so Run Joey Run, Quinn giving birth while Jesse St. James sings Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, all of it. And Glee was
Crazy.
just, it was the first time I gave up on a show, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think everybody, I've now seen all of Glee, but I did give up. I did give up at some point during season 4, which I don't believe is justified. Like I believe if you give up in season 5, that's justified. But season 4, I was just a little bit like, but also, as Becca and I have talked about before, 22 episodes in a season at an hour long, it's way too much.
It's way too much.
It's way too much. And Glee was doing that. And so, yeah. And so I gave up on it. And it was also hard because it used to be like mid-season finale. And so like they would split the season into like 2.
Yeah, and you would have to wait like an extra month.
Yeah, and then it was like, when does it come back on? And Becca and I grew up in a time where streaming wasn't like quite a thing when we were kids in the way that it is now. Did you ever order a DVD from Netflix?
That's originally what it was, and my mom had it. That's what we would do.
Yeah.
But I think they brought that service back for a while. I don't know if they still have it now.
Vintage.
But my mom, like, a couple of years ago was doing that as well. Yeah, no, me and actually Lauren were just talking about this, how kids today will not have the thrill of being like, after school you have to rush to get all your homework done so that at 9:00 like you can watch the new Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
And then go on Twitter and like read what people thought about it and have to wait till next week.
There's not appointment television anymore.
Yeah, and honestly it's so fun. So I miss that.
Yeah, I don't really have, and like the shows that like, I feel like I don't watch like the shows that like everybody watches. Like Becca and I talked about our cultural blind spots, but like Stranger Things is like the thing that like now everybody's obsessing over.
I'm blind on it as well.
I've never seen Stranger Things.
I've seen 2 seasons of it, and I'm thinking about catching up. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like Survivor might be the most normie thing I watch. But even then, it's like pretty easy to avoid because like it's not like, everybody's watching it.
Yeah.
Oh, or Drag Race. Drag Race probably.
Oh.
Because that's like the big spoiler culture.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were the TV shows I had.
Mm-hmm.
Do we perhaps want to move into movies?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
So for me, mine's pretty short because as I was reflecting, and maybe Becca, you'll inspire things in me, but I'm just not a movie person.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to be like more of a movie person.
Okay.
but they're too long.
Honestly, fair enough, especially nowadays.
Yeah, they're too long.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just don't like whenever like it's effort for me to like sit down and watch a movie. Like even movies I want to watch. Like Coda, which was a movie that like I really wanted to watch and I like followed it like because I was interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not end up watching until like literally after the Oscars, like after all of, like the buzz had died down and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just
I
it's
get that.
like Hereditary I wanted to watch for like a year. And I'm like,
You haven't seen it yet?
no.
Quinn,
But
be
that's
sober, don't be
no,
alone,
yeah.
and take breaks if you need.
No, that's the other thing. That one's like legitimately scary. And like
It's the first time I had to pause. Well, first of all, I should not have gone into it high, but I did, and I had to pause it, and I had to go. I gotta finish this another day.
so I gotta come back to this.
I
No, because like
gotta
people who are like legitimate like horror movie like people are like scared of Hereditary, and I'm like, so what does that mean for me?
exactly.
But so movies, so a really seminal one I will talk about is, and it's a little bit of a franchise, but the High School Musical franchise.
Oh my God. I think okay. I realized that something was oh my God, not during Pride Month, and I almost said something wrong with me. Wait. I
No,
had
but
a
I'm
crush.
so happy you're about to say this because
Yeah.
yeah.
I had a crush on Troy and Gabriella.
And I just had a crush on Troy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was a crush back then. I was just obsessed with him.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this really interesting there's this interesting thing. Like I had an over identification with Troy Bolton, not in the way where because I was not an athletic
Oh.
child. I did not like sports. I did not like, but I was just obsessed with him. And I realized what I was going through was like a pseudo kind of like sexual or like romantic awakening where
Wow.
like, yeah, like I wanted to be with him. I wanted to be him in a way. And there's that kind of over identification thing. I'm rereading A Separate Piece by John Knowles, which was a book I read in high school, which is it's about a male friendship. And there's this one point where one of the characters tries on his friend's clothes
Okay.
because they're roommates. And it's like this weird, intimate, like over identification thing. And I think it's a very queer thing.
Interesting.
But yeah, I didn't realize it like then, obviously, because I was like 5 when the first movie came out, but I was like in love with Zac Efron.
Yeah. Yeah. I love High School Musical too. I think it's the perfect summer movie. And not that long ago, my dad was like, I was staying at his house for like the week or whatever. My dad was like, when's the last time you saw High School Musical 2? I was like, I don't know. And I thought he was going to ask me a question about it. And I was like, do you want to watch it? And he was like, oh, yeah, if you want to.
He's like doing that thing with his foot on the ground, like
he's swinging his legs back and forth. If you want to. I was like, oh my God, no, yeah, we can watch it. And we did. It was fabulous. It holds up.
I need to rewatch all of them. I want to rewatch all of them as an adult. Isn't it crazy? I feel like it's a weird thing to also think about how we're older than all those characters now.
Yeah.
Because they were all 10 years older than us during the actual.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so High School Musical is big. I remember me and my mom went on premiere night to High School Musical 3.
Me too. I demanded.
And like I was like my second grade class, everybody knew I was going.
Trust.
They were all like, oh, maybe we'll get to see it this weekend. I was like, baby, I'm going tonight.
Don't you dare worry.
I will have my review by Monday.
That was another one my mom was also excited for.
Yeah. My mom liked them too, I think. Or maybe she didn't. I don't know. But another movie I saw way too young, but was not, I don't think, bad for me, especially because I'm a little older by the time I see this. But it's still like a seminal movie for me. Bridesmaids.
I was gonna bring up like, yes, all those Bridesmaids. Have you ever seen The Heat?
Yes.
So
another
funny.
Great
like,
movie.
Those are just the movies that you can rewatch and they're hilarious and like so good.
When Hollywood was realizing women were funny.
Yeah, they were like, oh, okay, they get it.
No, and Bridesmaids is such like I haven't rewatched The Heat as much, but I rewatch Bridesmaids like so frequently.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good movie. It's
It's
so
so funny.
funny. And like in a way where like there's nothing in it where like 2000 like because it was made in like 2012 and so like it's like starting to get into like but there's nothing in it that's like super overtly offensive. I mean, I guess when they go to
Yeah.
the Brazilian restaurant and they get food poisoning, but I always read it as more of like because it's like a cheap place.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, I quote that movie with my mom all the time.
Hilarious.
Oh, there she goes. She's shitting in the street.
Oh, there she
Or
goes.
when she's like, I love my bleached asshole.
uh that so Melissa McCarthy and
Mm-hmm.
also who plays Lillian? What's her name again?
Maya Rudolph.
No, no, no.
Oh.
Sorry. The Kristen Wiig's like enemy,
Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne. They are in such good like Spy, the movie
Mm-hmm.
Spy. So funny.
And for both of them, that was like the first movie that I was kind of aware of them.
Bridesmaids, yeah.
Yeah, I
Me
don't know if
too.
Rose Byrne, it was like her breakout, but I'm pretty sure Bridesmaids is like kind of known as like Melissa McCarthy's breakout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, Rebel Wilson. Oh, who's newly.
Congrats, girl.
Congrats, girl.
um, also Pitch Perfect.
Oh yeah, but I felt old there for Pitch Perfect. But that is
Yeah.
that's a great movie.
Pitch Perfect, actually, I will say, did affect my life because of that. And it, for a minute, I had to hate the movie just because of how many people. At one point in the movie, her name's Becca, Anna Kendrick's character.
Oh
And this
yeah.
guy goes, Baka, Baka, Baka. And so for 2 years after that movie came out, that is all I heard from like annoying
Wow.
people. Yeah.
Wow, that's such a unique experience.
Yeah. It did affect me.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were literally the only two movies I like racked
Oh,
my brain
really?
for like a good 5 minutes. And I
Fair
was like,
enough.
those are the only two movies I remember having any sort of effect on me.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You'll probably say some
Um,
and I'll be like, oh yeah.
yeah. Well, okay, I'll start with my favorite. I always say this. My favorite movies as a child were these three movies, and they're for sure like why I am so strange because I was watching these movies so young.
Mhm.
Number one, Princess Bride, which is not as weird, but
Uh-huh.
it's like it is a strange movie. It's kind of campy.
Yeah.
Labyrinth with
Pan's
David
Labyrinth.
Bowie
Yeah. Hmm.
and Willow. Have you ever seen the movie Willow?
No.
Okay. It's like
I've
set
seen
in
none of those movies actually.
y- you haven't seen The Princess Bride?
It's been on while I have been in a physical space, but I have never like watched it. It's a huge cultural blind spot now that you say it because everybody's always like Princess Bride, Princess Bride, Princess Bride, but I'm just always like,
Wow. Oh my God.
yeah.
Okay.
But I know it's like it's inconceivable, like whatever.
Inconceivable. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just Labyrinth. I think Pan's Labyrinth is a different movie. No. Yeah, no, that's Pan's Labyrinth. I'm talking about Labyrinth with David Bowie and
Isn't that the
Demi
same one where they
Moore.
go like this? Or no?
No, that's Pan's Labyrinth.
Isn't
I'm
David
I
Bowie also in Pan's Labyrinth?
Let me see. Doug Jones doesn't look like it. No,
Maybe I
Pan's
made that
Labyrinth
up.
is this thing, and then just Labyrinth is with David Bowie. And you know, it's a song where it's like, you remind me of the man with the power of voodoo, hoodoo, you do remind me of the man. Blah blah blah, whatever. Anyway, okay, never mind. Um, and then Willow is a movie where it's so complicated. It's set in like kind of medieval times. Mel Gibson is there. Um, it's like as if the world where there's like a civilization of little people and they one of them finds a child floating in a river and has to like return it to the king or something like that. I haven't seen it in a while. But this is interesting also because I was obsessed with the one scene. And I don't know, maybe you can analyze this for me. I was obsessed with one scene in this movie where Mel Gibson has to dress up as a woman to like hide and like kind of performs as a woman for a little bit. And I was
Mhm.
like obsessed with that.
Big motif
Yeah.
of like
It's
early
interesting.
2000s movies being like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a man dressing
True.
up as a woman.
True.
But
But
yeah.
interesting.
But yeah, again, it's probably the thing where you like saw that and were like somewhere in your mind you were like, oh,
Yeah.
you're like, you can do that?
You could do that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So those were the movies when I was really little. I loved anything campy. My
Hmm.
mom is a huge movie person and kind of instilled that in me. So I love movies. I watch
Hmm.
movies all the time.
Hmm.
Big horror fan.
Hmm.
Um, I was watching horror movies with my mom when I was again way too young.
Yeah.
Like Scream is now my comfort film, which is like crazy. Um, yeah, I we watched like all the bad ghost movies and stuff like that. I used to
Hmm.
go to theaters all the time. It was like my family thing. Like the weekends, you would get dinner and a movie.
I remember going to movie theaters too. I just don't remember any of the movies. Like,
What you saw?
yeah, I don't, I really, well, like, first of all, my preferred viewing experience isn't a theater because I feel like there's this social pressure to like not look at your phone now that I'm
Yeah.
like somebody who has an extra appendage and stuff, which I wasn't when
Hmm.
I was a child. Um, but yeah.
Yeah. Um Also like I love something I bond with my dad is we love
Hmm.
old movies. Like we've
Hmm.
seen together like all every single Hitchcock movie I've seen.
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of like the classics. And I think also like that like I don't know, it's interesting like the spectrum of stuff that I enjoy because that humor is like usually so dry and
Hmm.
like very conversational stuff. And then there's like the campy, like big fun movies that I'm
Hmm.
obsessed with. Like Rocky Horror
Yeah.
is one of my faves.
Hmm.
Yeah. Clue is so good. I have you seen it?
No. I've also had this
Okay.
conversation with you. I've never actually seen the movie Rocky Horror either.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. You
Because
have
I
to
don't
do
want
that
I don't
this Halloween.
I've specifically avoided watching Rocky Horror because I want the first time I see it to be at a like viewing.
That would be fun.
Like I want my first experience. I obviously know all the music and stuff.
Yeah. All right.
And Rocky Horror is actually mentioned in something else that I'm going to talk about.
Perks of being a wallflower.
Yeah, guessed it right away.
Well, yeah. So we could talk about that later because but I was going to bring up and I'll talk about this topic more probably in like social media stuff, but the movie The Bling Ring and generally the movies around that time like Sofia Coppola stuff
Mm-hmm.
um and just like these like teen movies that were like sad and
Mm-hmm.
like forlorn and like crazy.
Was the Bling Ring one of those ones that was like in the Shakespeare, like in the Shakespeare adaptation kind of resurgence?
No, The Bling Ring was based on true events
Yeah.
about the clip of Alexis Nyers calling um Nancy Joe and she's like, Nancy Joe, this is Alexis Nyers. I'm calling to say I'm so disappointed in how what you wrote about me. You said I was wearing 6-inch stilettos when I was wearing in court my 2-inch brown BB boots. And she's sobbing on the phone. You haven't seen that clip?
No.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Um, but yeah, it's the true story about how these kids in like California area, um, the like Beverly Hills area were
Mm-hmm.
breaking into celebrities' houses and robbing them. And so when I
Yeah.
was 14, I was like, that's the coolest thing
That
ever.
sounds like a really good. Yeah, that tracks for you.
So actually, the movie is not as good as like it doesn't
You
really
just
hold up.
described it to be.
Like the true story and like documentaries about it are I find more interesting than rewatching the movie again. But at the
They'll
time,
tell you something you don't know.
they will, as documentaries do, as you learned. But Emma Watson is in The Bling Ring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So that was kind of formative for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think those are the movies that I can think of.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So Becky, you have the honor of taking us to where we can go next.
So we'll just go down the list. I mean, I would love to talk about YouTube and social media,
Yeah,
which
and I
is
think this is
so formative.
I think this is the really interesting part because this is like we are one of, if not the very first generation to like actually
Grow up on it.
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's
And
true.
something to preface this, if we do have any like younger listeners,
Mhm.
is YouTube was not how it is nowadays.
No.
YouTube was very much, I don't know when exactly you came in on like when you started watching YouTube pretty consistently, Becca, but when I started watching it, it was so much more based on like vlogs were still a popular format, but sketch comedy
Yes.
like ruled the roost. Also, music parodies.
I was gonna say, okay, yeah. I started watching YouTube all the time in third or fourth grade whenever I got like an iPad thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was the music parody. I forget what the channel was called. There was one where they did of Jersey Shore, and I can quote it now. Hey, I'm Snooki. I crave attention. I wear mini skirts and hair extensions. I like to hook up, but don't call me loose. When I eat a pickle, I suck out the juice.
I think it was the Key of Awesome.
Yes, it was Key
It
of
was the Key of
Awesome.
Awesome on the Jersey
Sure.
Shore. Yeah. I'm looking for love without much luck. Yo, you took my drink. Yo, Snooki, duck. And she got punched. Oh, another egregious, horrible thing that happened on Jersey Shore. Snooki got literally fucking punched by a man,
Yeah.
by a gym teacher.
He was a gym teacher?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I also dressed as Snooki in the 4th grade for Halloween. Is something I feel like we should tell the listeners.
That is amazing. I think so too. But yeah, also YouTube, okay. Shane Dawson was huge.
Yeah. We
His
have to talk
videos
about it.
were
We have to talk
yeah.
about it.
And at the time, like I did love him. And now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, should not have been laughing at the character he called and played called Shanae.
Oh yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
good. It's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
It's
I was
just
also a
not
big. I literally made my YouTube channel, or not my channel, but like my YouTube account to
mhm.
subscribe to Shane Dawson. Like that was
Yeah.
that was like what I wanted to do, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's like yeah, it's
It's
tough.
crazy.
It's like I didn't know what I was watching was wrong. Like
Yeah, but it was. I
yeah,
know.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like, and like not all of his stuff was like, all of his stuff had elements of like horribly egregious and like offensive.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
then there would be like some serious aspects to it and some things that were like, yeah, but it was just all like shock and like again like stuff I didn't even so much of the things I watched and as I start to like understand, like I didn't understand at all what was going on.
Yeah, like the larger.
Like I didn't understand what was going on in a Shane Dawson video. Like when he was making jokes about like cum and like
Oh yeah, yeah.
blowjobs
No.
and like
Yeah.
all that stuff. It's like I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I was not picking up what he was putting down. It was
Mhm.
just like I think like yeah, it was just crazy.
And
Um
something people don't is that no is that Shane Dawson had like he had 3 channels at one point. he had Shane Dawson TV was like his original channel where he would upload all the like horrible like sketch videos.
Yeah.
And then he would he had Shane Dawson TV 2, and that was where he uploaded like bloopers and stuff. And then Shane, his third channel, which is Shane, was his vlog channel.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. But eventually Shane is the one which is now his biggest channel, and where he posted like all the like
Documentary and stuff.
quote
Yeah.
unquote. And so like it was interesting to see that become like his biggest channel. Also, something I just realized, Shane Dawson his podcast was the first ever podcast I listened to.
Really? Oh, I was gonna say, okay, my like the YouTubers I loved the most when I was younger was actually the Shaytard family.
Oh wow.
Did you watch them?
No, but I'm like aware of them, obviously.
Yeah, no, I just loved their vlogs, and they were those people who were daily vlogging, which is crazy to do. No one should be doing that. That's literally insane. And now I feel all types of way about family vloggers. Like I could go on forever. I won't. But their podcast, it was just Shay and his wife, Katie. When the kids go to sleep that's the first time I ever heard of a podcast and listened to one.
That's a good name for a podcast.
Yeah, it was cute. But yeah.
Yeah, and they had like a whole thing afterwards.
Oh, they sure did. That was a big scandal. But now they're back and they still vlog.
Really?
I don't really watch them. Yeah.
Crazy. I also, somebody we can talk about who is decidedly like a much better person from that era is Jenna Marbles.
Yes. I remember like watching her videos with my cousins at the holidays. And what's that? The first video that blew up of hers was called like The Face or something like that.
Yeah, it was like how to trick people into thinking you're really pretty, I think it was called.
No, I think it was like how to stop guys from talking to you or whatever, like something like that. It was just this face that she made, and she was like, if someone's bothering you at the bar,
yeah, it was like,
yes, you make this face, and then they will go away. I loved her also.
She was so funny. I mean, she also had her like moments and stuff, but she literally like decided to walk away from her career because of it. And so like and she was like legitimately very funny. Like in a way that Shane Dawson never was.
Yes, yeah.
In a way that Shane Dawson has never been funny. Like Jenna Marbles was so funny.
So funny.
And like it's just people with accents, I think. Like accents are funny.
They just have something.
When she started, she had like a real like Boston
accent. Seriously, I know.
Yeah, and so
I loved her. Do you remember? Are you a true fan? What was her first boyfriend's name?
Max No Sleeves.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
No, truly a dark day is gonna be whenever Marbles dies.
I don't want to know about it.
That's the thing. It's like maybe it happened and she just didn't tell. No, I feel like they would tell us. Especially because her boyfriend now, Julian, who's, can I say, so hot.
So hot.
So hot. Especially now that he's in like his like, he's like cool now. Like he streams and has like a mullet and like paints his nails and stuff. Like,
yeah.
So hot.
Yeah.
Anyway. But like especially the content she was making at like the end, like towards the end, like it was like you could tell she fully wasn't like into it anymore, but like she made ways to like get herself into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I love, but also like some other names from that era. Like I watched like Grace Helbig, Connor Franta.
We need to talk about the British YouTubers.
This is something exactly I thought. YouTube had like a British invasion in a way.
They did in 2013, 2014. Everything was happening. Like, okay, I forget Jack and something, the British twins.
Jack and what's the other one's name? And now they're like
climate activists.
Yeah, now they're like climate activists.
Something. I forget.
I remember I would watch Willem, who is a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, like early Drag Race, she does this show called The Beatdown, and one of like the original clips from it is like she was watching one of their videos and she goes, I would dip a scone into into that one on the left. And then she just says bangers and mash my butt.
Oh my
And she goes,
god.
God, is my dad watching this?
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. Um,
Yeah. And
and
then
then
Alfie and Zoella.
I was gonna say Alfie and Zoella, and
Marcus Butler, I believe.
yes, who is now a model.
Yeah.
Love
Tracks.
it. And Zoella's brother, I feel like his name is Joe or something.
Joe, yeah.
Something I think about all the time is he created the whisper challenge where like you put the headphones on, someone talks to you.
Really?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He was the first person to do that. And now like the Tonight Show does that with the guests.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, he just did that. And
no
wow.
challenges too. The cinnamon
That's-
challenge.
Do you remember Glozell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glozell was like Glozell. I remember watching with my cousin. That was what I watched with my cousins at
Yeah.
holidays. Like I remember me and my cousin Lily like watched like one Christmas like Glozell was like our thing. And when she
Mhm.
used to do song reviews and she used to like talk about the
Ugh.
songs and stuff, she had like a Lonely Island song and it was
Yeah. No, that's oh my god. No, yeah,
Oh.
challenges and like tags and like
Mhm.
question and answers were like all YouTubers did.
Yeah.
It-
And then
yeah.
also something Becca and I lived through, the BuzzFeed era
I was just gonna say that too.
of YouTube domination. Yeah.
Crazy.
When BuzzFeed
Which
was fully content farming, like
I will say that I still watch the Try Guys.
really.
I keep up with them. I love them. And I also watch Sophia Nygaard's videos still.
I'm subscribed to Sophia Nygaard. I cannot say the last time I watched one of her videos.
I love
I'm
her
also
videos.
Allison and Gabby, who
Yeah.
they met at BuzzFeed, and they have a channel called Just Between Us and a podcast
Yeah.
as well. I'm still subscribed to
Mhm.
their channel. There's so obviously Quinta Brunson. is
Quinta,
killing
literally.
it. Like,
Yeah.
she's
Oh my god.
and
Good
she was
for
always
her.
like the funniest one. No, did you ever see that one video where she's like, so I was just walking down the street one day and this guy comes up behind me and he goes, girl, you got a fat ass. And she goes, this ass? And he goes, that ass. And it's like, she's talking about like, it's the most romantic thing in the world. It's like one of the funniest videos ever.
She was
like,
truly hilarious.
She was truly like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it all came crashing down.
Yeah. But also, did you ever watch BuzzFeed Unsolved?
Yeah, I've seen episodes of it. I didn't stick around for when they'd started doing like super long form stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I've never been like super true crime person.
Really?
Yeah, I did really like this one. It was actually on, this is really weird, but the Young Turks, which is like a big left political.
Okay, we are so in sync. When you brought up Julian, I was about to bring up Hassan Piker, who is like
Yeah.
an even hotter version of Julian. I'm literally clutching my
Really?
laptop right now.
Blair Witch Project. No, so
Hassan.
the Young Turks, which is like this huge leftist like online YouTube news publication.
Yeah.
They were doing a pop culture thing for a while called Pop Trigger. And I think the way I started watching that was because Brie Essrig was one of the panelists, and Brie Essrig was in Shane Dawson's videos.
Wait, did Pop Trigger make those true crime videos?
Yeah, Murder
where-
with Friends.
I love Murder with
I
Friends, and I
love
forgot
Murder
about
with
that
Friends.
until now. Cause that was such an interesting show.
No, it was so good. And Becca, do you know what I think this calls for?
What? A kiss?
Entry number 31.
Oh,
Murder with Friends.
I can't believe I said a kiss.
Oh, we're fully on a Zoom call. Like,
I
yeah,
know.
sure.
I was gonna kiss my.
I don't think I can make it that far. Yeah, unless I like stood up.
All right. Yeah, I think 31 has to be Murder with Friends.
Murder with Friends. No, I love that show. And
Oh
now,
my god.
what was Grace Baldridge, I believe, was the host of it.
Yes.
And now they're
Yeah.
like they do music now.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome. Oh my god.
That's awesome.
So wait, was Hassan ever on Murder with Friends? I really should hope
He was
so.
on Pop Trigger. I don't know if he was on Murder with Friends.
Wait.
But I think that's like the first way I became aware of him. And then I didn't start watching Hassan until like
He is on Murder with Friends, the Edmund Kemper episode.
oh really?
Oh god, he's wearing like a hipster hat. Okay, I'll forgive him. It was 2016.
Really?
I
It was
still
that
watch his
long ago.
Yeah, which is
Oof.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hassan.
That's
if
the
you're
only like true
listening-
crime I've ever been into.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Just
I tried to listen to My Favorite Murder one time, but it was while I was high and walking outside at night.
Yeah, that was you. You should not have done that.
I shouldn't. Guys, you can't do scary things when
You're high
on marijuana.
Because you get scared.
Yeah.
And then I was also gonna. Okay, so I have to bring up
Mhm.
the Tumblr era of my life
Yeah.
now because it was so fundamental, so formative in, again, good and bad ways. So like I said, 2014 was our renaissance. It's on the Stan list. Part of why is because what was going on Tumblr was this sort of like alt indie thing that truly, like, its aesthetic can only be it can't really be described to people who don't get it.
I just watched a whole video on this.
Really?
Yeah, do you watch Mina Lee?
Wait, I think I do.
You would really enjoy her on YouTube if you don't already. But she did a whole thing about the Tumblr girl aesthetic.
It was like just okay. I will bring up the bad parts of it because oh yes, I do watch Mina Lee. Okay, I'll have to watch that video though. The bad parts of it were that it was definitely romanticizing depression, eating disorders, and also, I'm gonna say it, pedophilia in big ways.
Really?
It was like a huge thing, and I was on this part of Tumblr, so I can speak to it, especially with Lana Del Rey and like the whole like romanticizing of daddy issues and stuff. It was a huge thing that like communities of young teenage girls like 13 to 15 being obsessed with being with older men. Like the fact that Lolita was romanticized and like in a way where it was like we're missing the point of the book.
Yeah.
Like we're missing that this is bad. And it was just like so heavily romanticized, and like it was cool if like your boyfriend was 15 years older than you, which is not cool when you're 15.
Which is
so
probably
is
where we
that kind of
get
stuff.
Madison Beer saying like, I romanticize that book so much, which is like not something you say. Like just using the word romanticize in like conversation. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah. And so
very weird.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the kind of person that you think would have had a Tumblr, and I did, but I was never active on Tumblr.
Oh my god.
I feel like I missed something.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, it's good and bad, I guess, for you. Because the good parts of it were that people were hilarious on Tumblr. And also like it was just really fun, and like it exposed me to a lot of really good music like Arctic Monkeys and Lana Del Rey and the 1975. Like being into them was like really cool.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it.
My like best friend growing up was like a Tumblr girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's something special.
Yeah, it's something special about those girls.
It was also a thing where, much like TikTok was, like, you could follow your friends, but then it was like a lot of, you were finding people that just like liked the same sort of aesthetic you liked. So it
Mhm.
was like more random than like Instagram or something like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just wrote, I didn't write this down in my pre-notes, but I was very much on Twitter. And I've told Becca about this part of my life before, but I do need to come clean about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I was, for a time in my life, if you don't know, there is a corner of the internet, or at least there was for a bit of a time,
Hmm.
where ORGs were a big thing, which stands for online reality games. And so there were these people on the internet who would model like Big Brother or Survivor style games on Twitter. And I was very involved with that community for a year, maybe.
So crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like I had full like internet friends. Like I was like,
Internet friends are crazy.
yeah, and I was like, and I was first of all lying about my age to these people because I was like 12, 13. And like I didn't want to tell people that because they were obviously all older than me. And so I said I was like 17 or something.
Hmm.
But I was fully like talking to like 20-year-old strangers, like mid 20-year-old strangers on like Google Hangouts and stuff.
That's crazy.
And yeah, and like nothing ever like weird happened. Like I never feel like weird about it or anything. It was a very interesting community of people because obviously it was more oriented around like Big Brother and stuff. And
Hmm.
so yeah, like you would play these games like R it was called RRBB was like the biggest one, Reality Radar Big Brother. The first one I ever played was BBOG, Big Brother online game. Um and yeah, I made friends. I like knew all these people. Like it was crazy. We'd all talk about Big Brother together basically.
It's insane.
Yeah, and I
It sounds
only
fun.
yeah, it was. It was at times, but it's weird because it's that disconnect of like these people are my friends. And also it was like weird because I was like deliberately like hiding things about my life from them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was very close with this one girl, Ari. I have no idea if she'll ever listen to this. We still do follow each other on social media and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
But she was like my closest friend. Like we would like FaceTime all the time and like watch Drag Race together and stuff. And yeah. Like she would
Wow.
call me like drunk from like her high school parties or like high or something and be like, Quinn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. And
So the
so
internet, yeah, it can be good and bad.
the internet's a wild place, especially like growing up on the internet, like the first age of the internet, like it's wild.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Well, have we said our piece on the internet?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we have appropriately discussed the media that was formative
Yeah.
to us. And so
Mm-hmm.
now we will throw to another break and then we will be back to finish out the app. Guys, I'm scared.
Oh my God.
And now we're back.
We're back again.
Mm-hmm.
So, we usually have a segment called Comment Corner,
Mm-hmm.
but right now, me and Quinn are bone freaking dry, dude. So we are gonna need you guys. You're being jump scares right now because we are gonna need you guys to send
Literally.
in more comments or
Yes.
email us.
Please.
If each one of you emails us, that means we'll have up to 12 emails probably, which is so many weeks of content. So please send
Literally.
in your thoughts. We would love to hear anything, any questions, comments.
Mm-hmm.
No concerns or no negativity, please. But thank you.
And make sure that if you send in a link for us to view, It works.
It's
I'm looking at
works,
you,
yeah.
Christine,
Fix that
whoever you
link.
are.
Whoever you are,
Uh,
lady.
lady, woman, even.
Come on, lady.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we'll have to move on to our next segment, which is
Mhm.
obviously explaining our jump scare and manic pixie moments of the week. Jump scares, if you're not familiar, anything Quinn and I found scary and or fearful in the past week. And then, of course, our manic pixie moment is anything that made us feel good, nice, sweet, suave, or anything that
Mhm.
made us feel like the main character at all. Quinn, would you like to start with your jump scare of the week?
I would. And my jump scare this week is, and sorry for doing two like semi-serious ones in a row. Well, sorry, not
Sure.
sorry, but just something I've noticed and I'm putting people on watch about
Mhm.
is, Pride Month, when you're hearing this, will now be over. And so homophobia is back.
Mhm.
It does go away for the month of June, famously. And but now that it's back, I just want to, for all of our straight listeners, all two of you, I just want to say, I have heard a lot of straight people say something to the effect of, oh, I don't want somebody thinking I'm gay, or expressing uncomfortability with an outside party thinking that you are queer in some way. And in a way, it could be valid, but also, like, if you're getting, like, if you find yourself, if somebody has ever thought you were gay and you found yourself like offended, or you find yourself bringing it up multiple times, just do me a favor and probe into why that is exactly.
Mhm.
Like, why is it a big deal if somebody thinks you are gay if you are not? Like,
Yeah.
why would you be offended by that? Usually I get offended by things if I think those things are bad.
Mhm.
Like, somebody calls me like, oh, lazy, or oh, mean, or like things like that. Like, oh, I'm offended.
Yeah.
So there's a logical conclusion if you get offended by people thinking you're queer and like fixate on that is an issue. And so just something I want people to be a little bit aware of. Something I've seen straight people, even the supposed allies, being like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm gay. What?
Guys.
What? Yeah. And so just something I want to put people on about. And so my jump scare is anytime that someone has made me feel like that in my life.
Yeah. Boo.
Boo.
Jeez.
Polite homophobia. So Becca,
Yeah.
what is your jump scare of the week?
I think my jump scare of the week is that, yeah, June is coming to a close. And
Mhm.
so I've said before, June is my favorite month, my
Yeah.
birth month.
Mhm.
We still have Cancer season, the rest of Cancer season, but I haven't even been in the pool yet. And summer is flying by already. Basically, my jump scare's time is flying
Yeah.
like crazy, and summer is my favorite. So it's sad to be almost basically halfway through it right
I
now.
don't believe I've been in a pool either this summer.
We gotta go swimming. I love swimming.
I do think I'm gonna swim in the ocean soon, though, I must say.
Oh my god, a stainless item in
Literally.
fact.
I'll
Love
have to
it.
film some content.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah.
seriously. Cool. All right. Well, what is your manic pixie moment of the week?
My manic pixie moment of the week is that today I was personalizing some clothing
Ooh.
because, not to talk about it again, but the artist way, I'm still doing it. It's a 12-week program, so I've been doing it
Nice.
for a little while now, and then I'm on week 4 now. It's crazy.
Wow.
Kind of proud of myself for keeping up with it for this long, but um So I talked about previously like the filling your well activities kind of. And so one of them was personalizing clothing. And I've had like things that I was gonna like give away or donate or anything, but I was like, maybe I could like try to like make something out of this. And I've like held on to some things that I wanted to like craft something out of because I do like customizing clothing. It's kind of the closest thing I have to a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I actually like my clothes, like the clothes that I wanted to customize have been like sitting literally in my bedroom for like a week, just like staring at me. And so
Yeah.
today I finally found the time and I said, you know what? And so one of them was this shirt. I bought it at a thrift store. You will not be able to see it, but
Shit.
I cropped the bottom of it, not like a crop top, but just cut the bottom because it was very long. It could have been
Mm-hmm.
Moo vibes, but now I
Whoa.
have instead made it a little, you know.
Shit.
Also, my trend alert for the summer is that I'm trying to feature more of my arms. Like
Oh, nice.
maybe not have sleeves all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so actually Lady Gaga, we just talked about her. I have an old tour shirt of hers that I made into like a muscle tee kind of thing. And
Oh,
so
cute.
I think it'll be a cute for like a beach wear maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then I have this cool like tartan button-up shirt that I had I bought it in high school, and it's like weird because I bought it for like it's more of like a shirt you would wear for like business casual, but it's so weird because tartan for like business casual, especially as a shirt, like doesn't work. But I love tartan. Like I love
Mm-hmm.
tartan.
Yeah.
Um, and so I cut the sleeves off of it and made like a little vest thing.
Cute.
Yeah, it's very lumberjack vibes. I'm excited to wear it. I also had this cool idea where maybe I could get like safety pins and like pin the sleeves back to it and like have it
Ooh,
be this cool like punk
fun.
thing.
Like a deconstructed thing. I
Yeah.
like that.
And then the sweater, which things like I don't know, it was my first time ever like doing this. I was mostly like cutting things. I also bought some dye, which I think I'm gonna try to like do some like cool tie-dye stuff with other shirts of mine, but it was my first time like ever cutting stuff. And so there's like there's a certain line that I'm trying to find between like looking like, oh, that's a cool cut versus like, oh, like you cut that yourself.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the line I'm trying to find right now. But,
Yeah.
you know, the sweater I'm a little less bullish on. In some ways I'm like, oh, it's kind of fierce, but in other ways I'm like, so, you know, we're
Yeah.
experimenting
It's
with
tricky.
things.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fun.
But it made me, I was like doing my little cuts, I was like figuring it out. And so yeah,
Loves it.
that was my little manic pixie moment. But Becca,
Mm.
what is your manic pixie moment of the week?
I have been reorganizing my room a little bit again, like
Mm-hmm.
cleaning up and stuff. So it's
Mm-hmm.
starting to feel more comfortable in here. Because it was kind of like crazy moving when you have like a full room of stuff and then you move out of college. It's
Mm-hmm.
just insane. So like actually going through everything has been helpful to me. I am also a person who very much firmly believes my space is a reflection of me. If it's
Mm-hmm.
tidy and everything, I feel so much better about about my life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, organizing has been fun. Also, you just inspired me, and I have this fabric that I've been wanting to make a dress out of for a long time. And maybe I'll finally do it this week.
No, I was looking at sewing machines this week.
Oh, you should get one.
Like
They're
that's something I want to get better at, like
mm-hmm.
sewing, because I really did enjoy it when I took like my costumes class in college, and I would love to
Yeah.
get better at it and be able to like make actual like things.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
really bad at pattern cutting though.
mm, I
So
was pretty
that's
good at
something
it the one
I'm
time I
improving.
like the big time. It's annoying, but
Yeah.
I could do it. I
I just
believe.
don't, yeah. I usually don't, I'm not patient enough to do it correctly. And then,
Hmm.
yeah. But I have sewed outfits before.
Yeah, I would love to
So
be one of those girls who can just like
whip it up. Yeah.
that's my favorite thing to do. Like just do the sewing machine thing, not with an actual sewing machine, but just with my hands and go like I find something so
Love
fun
it.
about it.
You should make an
Um,
ASMR account of you just doing that over and over again.
I don't want to. Would you like that?
Is that good for you?
Becca, if people would like to keep up with you, where can they do so?
They can follow me at Becca Howard on Instagram, at Bex Gloss on Twitter and Spotify, and also Where Y'all Going During World War III on TikTok. You can also find me. Quinn, where can the people keep up with you individually?
I'm at Quinn P. Murphy on Instagram and TikTok, and I'm Quinny P 123 on Twitter. How could I forget?
Yeah.
And you can find me trying to figure out if something is cute or not.
Mm-hmm.
That I just cut up before I give it the final death knell of like going to Goodwill. Where I can have a new life and be reborn. And so yeah, Becca, how can people keep up with the show?
They can follow Manic Pixie Jump Scare on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where we post all of our podcasts at length and also exclusive content if you're more interested in
Yes.
video form podcasts. And of course, please, please, please send into manicpixiejumpscare@gmail.com. We need more comments for Comment Corner, or else we
Yes.
will literally sue you guys.
Yes. No
for
more
emotional
freeloading.
damage.
No more freeloading.
You must
We have
do
like
your
a pretty
part.
we have a pretty consistent audience of people who listen to the show. Send something in. You guys are
Yeah.
international.
Yeah.
When I look at our little dashboard, Becca and I are of course planning our trip to France
I
to meet our
know.
French listeners. We also have the
Yeah.
live show coming up at the Aurora Borealis.
Oh, we're so excited.
And we can't announce that quite yet, but can I tell you, I actually convinced somebody that was like a real thing.
One day it could be.
I had somebody going, and it is going to be a real thing. We're manifesting. But there are people in Russia, Argentina,
So exciting.
India, like they're streamers from those places, and it's like, come on, guys, you
That is crazy.
write something in.
Yeah, we want to
tell
hear
us
about
about why you're listening to us in those places.
you. Yeah, what's your life?
You could are you listening to us while you're like hiking the Patagonia mountains? Like what's going on?
Let us know.
Let us know. We want to know about you guys.
Yeah.
And so yeah, write in. But
We're
Quinn. And we're Becca. And thank you for listening. No.
Yeah.
No.
Little vocal viewpoints.
Little vocal viewpoints for you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Manic Pixie Jump Scare is hosted by Quinn Murphy
and Becca Hobart. Executive produced by Quinn Murphy and Becca Hobart.
Sound and video editing by Quinn Murphy.
Social media management and highlights by Becca Hobart.
And our theme song was written by Quinn Murphy, Becca Hobart, and Nandita Mahesh.